I can see we are live now.
Okay.
Yes, we are live now. Yeah, welcome so much. Just give me a minute so that I may be able to share with us the live link.
Okay.
Yeah. I have shared with you the link so you can maybe, yes. Just in a few, I'm just finishing so that we can start off. Okay, I think we are good to go now. Sorry for the delay. Yeah, allow me to continue as the other Kathryn joins us. She has a problem with the network a bit. She has communicated. So we will proceed. When she comes in.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes, we will pick from that point. Yeah, so good evening to all our viewers. Greetings, to all our audience. We are back after a short break.
Sure.
Oh, yes, last month we did not hold our show. We were on a short break, but it's always my pleasure to host you once again on SADREF Africa platform. This is a place where we believe that broken crayons still color. It doesn't matter the kind of situation you are going through, the kind of brokenness. We believe that you can bounce back again and still live a purposeful life. This show, we call it Brighter Days segment. So to our audience, welcome to Brighter Days segment. This is our monthly talk show that is brought to us every last Friday of the month. And this is whereby we come in and we tend to cover different relevant topics based on raw and real and also authentic stories. And this is for a purpose of creating awareness and also giving hope. and transform lives. And just remember that we are live on SADREF Africa Facebook page. So feel free, maybe you want to share it with someone else, you can share with them, you can share on your timeline, you can host a watch party. And this is for the reason that to take this message as far as we can. And just remember, this conversation will also be available on YouTube later for those who may wish to watch it again. So maybe to get to learn more about what we do in SADREF Africa and the kind of different programs we learn and and the services that we offer, kindly visit our website, that is www.sadref.com. And you could also check website www.jennywashira.com. You'll also get more information of what we do, and also visit our Facebook page, that is SADREF Africa. Like and follow, and also Jenny Washira Facebook page, which you may choose to like and follow as well. And also subscribe to our YouTube channel, that is SADREF Africa. And we are also, don't forget, we are also on Instagram at sadref.com. So I also wish to invite our viewers to this conversation. What I believe that this is just not our conversation, is for all of us. So you can come in and participate by putting, going to the chat box, have your question, have your comment, have your thoughts, whatever you feel like you need to put there, a concern, kindly put there. We shall try to react to them as we proceed with this conversation. Yeah, so I'm really, really glad to have this conversation tonight, and being joined by Kathryn Kitaka, who I will give time in a few to introduce herself, and maybe just to bring us on board to our discussion today. And I love this, starting with a quote. And you know, we say that it's a quote that I just picked from somewhere, that talks of life is full of disappointments, failures, and also setbacks. And none of those things can permanently stop you. So you have the power in you to overcome anything that life throws at you. There is nothing as powerful as a made-up mind. So surround yourself with like-minded people and positive support system, because no person or situation or circumstances can define who you are. So shut down any mindset of a negative nature, and this will help you to be able to cope and manage, you know, the situations around you. So no matter how slippery the journey might be, keep moving. So my name is Jenny Washira, and I am your host today. And today's topic is about the setbacks on your way to recovery. We are on episode 7, season 2 in this year of 2022. And I'm privileged to host a panelist who will help us just to be able to unpack, dissect this topic of discussion. And I know on board we already have Kathryn Kitaka, and Kathryn Wamboi will be joining in a few. She's still struggling with her net. So at whatever point she comes in, we will be able to bring her on board. So our guests tonight are Kathryn Kitaka, who is she is a marriage and family therapist. And also we have Kathryn Wamboi, who has a story and an experience in relation to setbacks in her journey from as she tried to recover from divorce. So I'll invite Kathryn Kitaka to introduce herself a bit so that we get to know her, who she is, and a bit about herself before we get down to the conversation of the day. Welcome, Kathryn.
All right. Thank you, Jenny, and good evening to all our viewers and our listeners. It's a joy to be here tonight. And I can't wait to just plug in and just engage on this discussion, because it's powerful. I love the topic that you have the power. It doesn't say other people have the power. It is you that is joining us tonight. that you have the power to overcome anything that is thrown your way. So that's a beautiful place to begin, knowing that the power, the strength is within. To conquer is from within. So thanks, Jenny, for having me here. My name is Kathryn Kitaka. I am marriage and family therapist. I'm also a professional mediator. So I love peace and I love reconciliation. And I love that people are able to come back and to just bounce back in whatever situation that life throws to them. I have a personal motto. That's how I introduce myself. I live to lead and to live and to love and to lift. My life is about else. And then I'm happy that I am here and I know one of the else will be put to use tonight. So I am a family person, married with 3 children, and it's a joy once again to be here tonight. Thank you, Jenny. Back to you. I hope that's sufficient.
Yes, can you repeat that? I want to capture it. I live to lead.
To lead people, offer leadership, to lift, that anyone in whatever space, I know that I'm on this earth to lift them up, to love, because without love, we are not able to carry on. So to live, to lift, and to lead, the 3 L's that defines my life.
To live, to lead, to lift, and to love.
Yes,
and to love. And to love. Wow, wow, that's powerful.
Yes, yes.
That is powerful, powerful. Thank you so much for that introduction, Kathryn, at least to get to know a bit about you. And I know as we continue with this conversation, we will get more to know more about you and what you believe in and what you advocate for. Yes, I can see Kathryn, she has joined us. Maybe we'll give her a few minutes to settle so that she'll be able to introduce herself. Yeah, so just to remind the people who are joining us today that our conversation this night is about the setbacks on your way to recovery, because as human beings, we know we cannot really stop ourselves from having setbacks. So it's a way of just having a way of learning tonight what are some of the setbacks and how can we equip ourselves to be able to manage the setbacks as they come on our way, you know, as we deal with situations of life. These are things, are normal things that come our way, just to be sure that they will not really drag us behind, but we are able to manage, we are able to handle them as we move forward. Okay, so
yeah.
Kathryn, you let me know once you are able to introduce yourself. Once you are settled, you let me know.
Kathryn, you're on mute. Unmute and yeah, I hope she can hear us. You're on mute.
Yes, yes. Karibu sana, Kathryn, and so sorry for the hiccups. We are here. We have been waiting for you. We've just done introduction. So kindly just introduce yourself. So before we get into the discussion of the day, so we get to know who we are dealing with and who is here in this conversation. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much. I really apologize. I got late. I was in a conference and I was not able to zoom in because I was in a mud. My name is Kathryn Wamboy. I'm a born-again Christian and I love the Lord as my personal savior. Some years back, I got divorced and I was denied access of my child for about 14 years. And later my child came and we have never connected. I'm just giving a summary
Okay.
of my
Okay.
life.
Mhm.
Feel free to ask any question. Kathryn and Jean, feel free to ask any question, and I'm ready to answer.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, yeah,
Okay. Thank you so much, Kathryn. I know
yeah.
as we continue with this conversation, we will get to know, okay, a bit of your story and what you have experienced in your journey of
Yeah.
recovery. So we are
Yes.
glad to have you on board. And
Yeah.
maybe just to highlight, uh, we have two Kathryn, so I think I'll be referring to Kathryn Kitaka or Kathryn the therapist, you know. And you know, we've been hearing a lot of things that are happening in the country about, you know, you get like the divorced couple and they don't get to a point of maybe respecting their indifference, that they cannot actually continue together. And having maybe the other person getting to deter or rather pull the other person, you know, they cannot move forward. You know, they try all means to bring them down, you know, and now not getting even to a point of maybe relating in a civil way. And we've witnessed a lot of that even recently when we had a gentleman, and okay, let me not call him a gentleman because of what he did, you know. And this guy, when the ex-wife dropped the baby, you know, the co-parenting arrangement, and while she was dropping the baby, you remember, I'm sure all of you have had that scenario, because the lady had gotten to a point of like accepting, you know, we at this space, so let's co-parent. But now the other party, they didn't take it kindly. I think it's something they are planning as they continue, you know. So maybe Kathryn Kitaka, you can just bring a highlight. One of the things that make people, you know, like, or rather we can use to help people once you get to a point that you cannot continue together. What are some of the aspects you can apply and get to a point of being civil to avoid getting to the other extreme end of assaulting, of violence, maybe public humiliation, and also to that aspect, even we saw something about murder. So maybe some pointers that we can actually get to that point when things cannot work and we get to relate with the other person or even with the people around us in a good way.
All right, thank you, Jenny, and welcome, Kathryn. Kathryn Wamboyo. I'm Wamoyo, so we can use therapists, we can use Wamoyo so that we make your life a little easier. And I must affirm Kathryn Wamboyo for the boldness and the courage to just come and share her story. To come in, I know it's not a story, it's a life. And I think on behalf of the team and the many that are listening in, allow me just to affirm and to appreciate that the Lord has helped you, that you're at this point that you can be vulnerable to the millions that will watch and listen in. We really appreciate that you've given yourself to be used in this manner. And to answer the question, it's really sad, really, very sad what just happened. And then what comes to mind when we talk about the separation or divorce, I look at it as a loss. It's a loss of status, it's a loss of the many things that would come with that. And we say in laws, there is need to, first of all, you know, accept that I am in this space. So you might find that maybe this person, I'm using the word maybe they have not really accepted that this is where I am in this particular situation with my family. So that could be one. The other one could be the person may not have given themselves time to heal. It's a journey. It is not a one-off. It's a journey that one will walk, that has a lot of back and forth, a lot of pain, emotions, and many things. And you find that if the person, again, may not have given themselves time to heal. We say to accept and also heal, work towards the healing journey. We could easily find somebody getting into this place. So allowing oneself to accept, allowing oneself to heal, allowing oneself to begin the journey of, moving forward, the journey of having people that are walking with them would also be the other issue. And I also, maybe the final one, I talk about understanding ourselves, self-awareness, listening to your body, listening to your emotions, and then finding out where am I at as I go to face my family. How am I emotionally? How am I cognitively? How am I physically? Listening to know whether this or that time would be the right point to go and meet at the family. So maybe just those three for now. It's a loss. If we haven't been able to come to terms, then somebody will get to that point. It's a loss, so we need to work towards acceptance, work towards healing, work towards really desiring to be helped even through the journey. Thank you. Back to you, Jenny.
Thank you so much, Kathryn Kitaka, for bringing out that aspect, and even to comment on what Kathryn shared a bit of her. So I want to bring her in. I know I've watched your story before, Wamboy, and it touched me, just knowing that going through what you are going through, then suffering rejection even from people that you trusted most, and even what you have shared again of just being disconnected from your child for 14 years. So maybe in brief, you can just take us through your recovery journey, how it has been like, and maybe, sorry for that. And maybe, I know you've experienced a lot of setback now, especially now with your child, because I know co-parenting is key, is a place maybe you expected where after the divorce, getting that good arrangement that you can also enjoy as a mother, bringing up your child. Maybe you can take us through in a few minutes how that setback affected you. You're muted. Let me just, okay, you okay?
Yeah.
Sawa.
Yeah,
You okay now?
Yeah, I'm okay. As Kathryn Kitaka has said, divorce, yes, it's a loss. And I think even before accepting it, I had to grieve and mourn about it. And I think I have gone through that process even of accepting divorce. But one of my main setback, it is the effect of divorce on my child, who I was denied for 14 years. I think I moved on after divorce because I'm talking of about 20 years ago. But the effect of divorce on my child has what? Has been the main challenge. It has been the pulling whatever thing, back. It is the main setback, as you are using the word setback. So my recovery, yes, a recovery is a process, but still in the process, then the effects come. You see your child, you are disconnecting with the child. And I think that has been the main challenge because, Jean, there is nothing so horrible to a mother like saying, this is my son, but I cannot connect with him. This is my son. I pleaded with my ex, please give me the child. The child will always remain your child. Because I could oversee what is happening today, the effects of divorce on my child. That has been so unbearable, Kathryn. That has been so unbearable because I know you listened to the story, Jean, and I have said my son sank into depression. So the the recovery, as I have just said, I don't want to repeat myself, sorry. It has not been easy, especially when I see my son. I don't normally like going into details about my son because I know one day he will tell his story, because I know God is also healing him, and he'll be of age to talk about himself. So I don't go into details about his life. Yeah.
Maybe if I may ask Kathryn before we leave there, how old is your son now?
He's approaching 27.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how old was he when you got separated from him?
He was about almost 3 years. Almost 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Almost 3 years. Then we had 4 years separation. Then later we divorced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was not given the custody of the child. I went back for the custody. You know, it was dismissed. I would go and plead with my ex. He refused to give me the child. So yes, my son is approaching 27.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not talking of a small child, but
Mm-hmm.
the effects are there, because I've now been with him for about, he came 2012, for about 2012. So I've been with him for about 10 years or less.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry for that experience. And maybe I would want Kathryn Kitaka to come in now. You can imagine, as we talked, you are going through the struggle and the pain of divorce and separation. And then on top of that, and a mother and being separated from her only child, and for that long. So we can even call it double tragedy,
Yes.
and you're not even done with grieving your divorce. Then here again, you cannot be a mother to your child. Your child is taken away from you while you are able to take care of them. And you can imagine how that feels. So I would want maybe you come in and explore more on that, and even maybe put something maybe at that age. How can she be able, maybe some of the aspects she can apply just to be able to reconnect with her son? Because you imagine being away for over 20 years and something, and then coming back to your life, your child, your blood, but you cannot connect. I know it's the pain of a mother. Yeah.
Well, I hear you, Kathryn. That must be really difficult, an experience that you've gone through, not for one day, not for 1 month, but for several years. And I am a Christian, born again Christian, and I would use spiritual resource at this point and trust the Lord that He will work the work of healing in your life. But that said and done, allow me, Jenny, to also, before now I can go back to Kathryn, just to reiterate on what she has said. We appreciate that divorce separation is difficult. And this comes to me as a plea for the viewers and the listeners who would be in, that even as people would find themselves in such a space, we encourage that we do not have the parties use the children as a weapon. No, children can, I don't know the story, I don't want to be judgmental, but it's just a caution that I would give, that we don't find ourselves using the children as a weapon. There will be issues between the partners, but it's advisable, it's encouraged that we keep the children out of this issue. And then one of the ways of keeping them out of it is not to withdraw a child from either of the parents. It could be the mother, it could be the father. So it's really encouraged, unless there is violence or there is possibility of hurt or abuse, But at the normal circumstance, irrespective of how I would feel about my partner or how the other person would feel about the partner, the ex-spouse, let's trust that we can keep the children out of this, because they will never have another mother. They will never have another father. So let's be conscious. And actually, we ignore that this does also affect the children. And now back to Kathryn. It's been many years, and then the child has grown without the mother. And unfortunately, we don't know what had been said over the years. That's the other question that we give. Let's not have people speak ill of the other person. Let the parents' differences remain aside. Let's look for other avenues to air out our frustrations and to air out whatever issues that were there, but not on the children. So we don't know. I don't know the details. We don't know whether things had been said. So what maybe we could say, I don't know how far Kathryn has gone with this. First is to connect. It's a relationship. I cannot imagine. It's not easy. This is a grown person. They already have their values. They already have their ways of life. They have already lived without her presence. But I would trust that you are able to, in bits, small bits, even that one conversation, that 5 minutes conversation, an intentional way of building a relationship. Because for us to connect, we need to build a relationship. So maybe at this point, trusting that he would be well emotionally, that's small steps, baby steps. It's like how we begin with our children. They don't know our names. They don't know what we like, what we don't like. Our relationship is built gradually. Maybe we will need to begin from that point. Unfortunately, this is an adult who is already formed, but maybe to find out what are his interests, what does he like, what has he missed over the years. This, I hope and I pray, can be done amongst the two of you. But if that is not possible, what about, I don't know whether you have explored therapy, maybe a trusted third party, just to hear out what has been going on, what is the narrative, and maybe we will need to unlearn some things that have been said or that have been done, and relearn, just to hear his story. But I'm saying, like a young child, this may not be rushed. We might, and we will need to take time, and trusting that the Lord would also just quicken this relationship. So building a relationship, which may not happen instant, but it's a journey. But I believe that this is and will be possible. I hope I answered your question. So those two key things, even when things go that way, let's learn to keep the children out of it. Back to you, Jenny. I hope that helps.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kathryn, for bringing in that aspect. And maybe for anybody out there, maybe who could be going through something similar to what Kathryn Wambui went through, there's a relationship with her child that she need now to build on. And even the points that we've gotten from Kathryn Kitaka, you really need to be intentional, because at this age it's not easy. It's not something that will be easy or will take a short time. It's just to be intentional, that we need to build on that relationship. And as well, because you don't know for that time what has been told to them, getting to see maybe a therapist, so they can get to maybe go through the process of unlearning what maybe they got to learn through that period. So is again taking time to do that, and also believing that God is able to build on a broken relationship. Yeah, thank you for bringing in that aspect. And as Kathryn Wambui was talking as well, and during this time, I'm just trying to imagine that even after she talked of, after going through divorce, now she's gotten to a point of acceptance, she's on her journey of recovery, feeling she's in a good place. But there's a lot of things now that happen on the way. Now, as she has mentioned about her son, who was really affected, the effect of divorce now got into the son. And the second thing Kathryn, I heard you talk of, even in that journey, another thing that got to be strived is the relationship between you and your family. Maybe you can take us a bit through that, how that got to affect your relationship and your close family members and maybe friends.
I have had, I think, so many tragedies. And one, as we talk, the last time I saw my son was September last year, 2021. Because that is when I was thrown out of the house by my mother. There was a lot of family feud or family fights where I was the victim. And as the victim, I was taken to the chief and I was thrown out. There were physical fights where my mother was involved. My sister, my older sister, was involved, and one of my brothers. And I remember when I was thrown out, well, I was called by the chief and I committed myself that I was to leave the place as my mother wanted it. I told my son to accompany me, and he refused. I went again home. I told him, please, I don't want you to stay here. I think Jean and Kathryn, it's good to say, when my son came from my ex, one, he was not coming to stay with me. And that's why he sank into depression. So he stays with me, not because he chose to stay with me. It is because when he came to look for me and he went back to his father disowned him. So my son blames me for his father disowning him. And he says, if I did not come to look for you, my father would not have disowned me. So he blames me. Sorry, I'm going back to my son. I know I was now talking about the family feud, but I'm trying to go back to what Kathryn was talking about, working with my son and building a relationship, which has been so difficult because my son was demonized. He was told negative things about me. Then he comes, he does not choose to stay with me. He stays with me because he did not have anywhere else to go. So the other environment that I did not want him to go back is to my mother's place because I didn't like the environment. But finally, he went there. I was renting somewhere and then I lost the job. And then I had to kind of join him at my mother's place. I was not going back home to stay actually. It was just for that period because I did not have a job. Okay, the family bullings, the fights came and then I left. The other time I could have met my son is during his birthday, 30th May. I remember I called someone and I told him, please tell my son that we meet somewhere on that particular day. I don't know whether he could remember that it was his birthday. I bought him a pair of shoes, I bought him socks, I bought him a shirt. But my son did not turn up. That was May 30th. I went back home and that is when I also sank into depression because I thought my son was missing me, which he was not because he did not turn up. So I gave someone the gift to take to him. He did not even bother to call and tell me I've received the gift. So, well, Kathryn, you have said it takes long to rebuild the relationship. But I think, as you have said, my son is of age now to either to choose me as his mother or his stepmother, because there are so many times that he could tell me his stepmother is his mother. And I've seen, but actually I don't blame him, because he also sank into depression. You know, he got, some other things. Well, I said I don't want to go into details about him. So, well, I really empathize with my son. I really empathize with him, but I think I've done what, as a mother, I should have done. I've engaged counselor for him. He was to go somewhere for free counseling. Kenyatta Hospital, they have a very beautiful youth center for counseling. He went there. I took him for 2 times. He refused, and it was free. I got some money. I engaged a counselor who was coming home to talk with him, and it was very expensive. But still, he could not, practice what the counselor was telling him. And I remember I put a lot of effort on that. Well, I still empathize with him, but I have not been with him for the last 1 year. So I was denied 14 years. We are no longer together. And that's why, Jean, in my story, in the Tuko TV, I was appealing to my ex, please go for your son, because your son is not with you and he is not with me. So even if he's 27, at least his mother or his father should be knowing I am with the child. If something happens, God forbid, nothing bad will happen to my son. But my ex can blame me that the child left him and he came to stay with me. And then I tell him I'm not staying with him. So that's why I was making a plea, because he was with him for about 16 years. He knows him now better than I do. Yeah. So that was why I was making an appeal. I don't know, Jean, whether I have answered with your question. But in a very, long way.
You have brought it out in a good way that we've captured that. Because even more so just getting to know the relationship between you and your son, which we've really gotten it well. Then your relationship now with your family, as you spoke of your mother, your siblings, and how it got affected, by I think you mentioned of you getting divorced, And as she spoke, Kathryn Kitaka, there's one thing that I really picked from that. And this is maybe we have majority of the people out there, maybe they are suffering, they are going through this, at that point when you are expecting people not to be judgmental, people to embrace you, people to get to listen to you and just give you a place to heal. You find at this point is when you receive a lot of people judging you, judging your decision, judging your move. And more hurting even what I'm getting from Kathryn, because at this point is when you expect your close family, your mother, your siblings to be there by your side, because this is your blood. But getting to this point where you suffer rejection from your closest family members, perhaps you can explore on that, and even maybe try to talk of some things that maybe drive people from behaving in the same way, or them doing the same. And these are their family members, Then getting on the other aspect again, having to deal with a child yourself, you're suffering, you're in depression, your son as well, but they haven't come to a point that you can actually help them. You know, they are slippery, you know, they're not there for you. Even their age, they feel like they're in charge of decisions that they make. Maybe from a professional angle, you can just assist to explore that and how even we can go about that.
Wow. Thank you, Jenny. Really, as I listened to Kathryn, that must be really difficult, that where she and all of us would think that help would come in, you know, our family, our parents, and it doesn't seem to come by, then that must be really difficult. But I could say that we are in different settings. And even just looking at what has been going on, you know, in our country, even this past week, there was a principal, I think a deputy principal, who was attacked by the family, the son, it is said, I think he's still under investigation. What comes to mind is the need to, you know, the awareness of what we call a community of support. As you know, how we were cultured, you know, the African, the Kenyan, there's an assumption, allow me to call it an assumption. It ought to be that our family of origin should be our greatest support system. But I think a time comes, because you look at the case we are talking about, looking at the principal and a few others, we find that not always that our family come to be our community of support. So what can an individual do in such a case? I remember Kathryn talked about coming from a conference as a Christian. Allow me again to use a spiritual resource. You know, the Bible says, you know, Christ is one who sticks closer than a brother. I think even from the word of God, we are brought to that point where our real help can only come from God. But again, we are in this world. We need support. So maybe Kathryn and anybody else would be in that situation. I believe there is still one person or two people that are really for you. You know, they call them guardian angels, you know, people that will be there for you. So what is key, and then what would be helpful at this point, is when it is not happening at the family front, we find out where or who else can be in our community of support. And I trust that Kathryn and anybody else is able to get that community of support. So yes, it's important. We can't walk alone. We can't just handle all these things on our own. We need people around us to surround us. So trusting that we can all be able to identify a community of support. And then how do we identify those people? When we are at our lowest, who can stand for us? Who has stood with us? You know, we are able to identify those people who are really for us, for who we are, for ourselves, and not maybe what they're able to pick from us. So really, that's what I would say, that it is sad when our families don't come in to support us, and we've seen that happen, but we still are not to walk alone. We can still go out and then seek out. It could be church, it could be, I have heard people who say that, you know, I have this friend who is closer or who is more than a sister or a mother. So, but again, I take it back to the family, because we are relational beings. I call some of these seasons, if you know somebody who is in that season, it's only by grace, allow me to say that you are not the one. You know, these things can happen in the body. So I challenge anybody with a member who is suffering, who is in such a situation. It's only that we have been spared. We are all candidates of anything that happens to other people. So let's be gracious, let's be careful, let's be kind, let's be human to the people in those situations. So just a caution that I throw, that let's be careful. This thing, we are not exempt, only by God's grace. And not to say that when they happen, that there's anything wrong that that person has done. So just being human, being, you know, I find how the animal kingdom, you know, how they take care of each other. You know, whether it's lions, whether it's elephants, whether it's birds, even cats, every animal, they take care of each other. Let's be gracious to the people around us who are suffering. Let's extend that shoulder that they can hang on. But my call is that at least get that one or two or three that can support us. I hope I answered your question. Back to you, Jenny.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is very correct, Kathryn, because we say we are humans, and we are, I can say we are, as you put it, we are not immune to these life happenings, you know. Yeah, so it's good to be kind to one another, and at that moment when they need help and some support, that is the much we are able to give at that time, other than exposing them to more hurt and rejection as well. Yeah, so I really love the aspect that you have brought in, and when it becomes difficult even for the closest people that you call family, you can always look for that other person out there who can actually stand with you at that point of need. Yeah, I think that's very, very key. And maybe another aspect that I would want to bring in, because I've heard you even mention a lot of it, and I know another setback that a majority of the people have experienced, and maybe Kathryn will share, maybe if she's gotten to this point, is now from the spiritual aspect, or from the church, of you know, with the people that we trust, that we expected that time to stand with us, because we've had experiences before that even people maybe who are serving in church, and you get to a point of divorce, now you're never viewed the same again, you know, even you are asked to step down from serving, you know, and at that point you feel even rejected by, you know, the place that you needed to be embraced, you know. And maybe Kathryn, you can mention that if you had any setback in that area, then Kathryn Kitaka will come again on board just to explore on that, how we can, as well as the you know, the society or the church, we can offer support to this kind of people, you know.
Thank you, Kitaka. Let me share about something I did. I thought I was brave enough because I was serving in the full-time ministry. And I thought I was brave enough to share about my story in one of ladies' meeting. Although the preacher was a man, the guest speaker was a man. So I shared my story. It was like a testimony. And I shared my story. And the reason why I was sharing my story is because I felt maybe there is, even if it's a church and women are there are some who are married, at least there might be someone who can be uplifted my story, because I felt just to tell about my story. The first time that I went into public about my story, remember I'm serving in the church, but I'm divorced. So I felt, let me share today, because I think it's good to share. Then I shared and I said, A, B, C, D, no, I'm divorced, I'm single by divorce. Then guess what? When the guest speaker stood up to preach, he said, women, if you're not able to keep your husbands, someone will always come for your husband. And I felt, oh God, oh God, oh God, why has he judged me that I was not able to keep my husband? Why has he said that? Immediately I have talked about myself. Do you know what I did? I woke up and left. I remember I went to the toilet and I started crying. But when I was leaving, a lady followed me. And she told me, Kathryn, my story is like yours. I've gone through a lot. And I felt, yes, there was that woman that wanted to hear my story. The pastor might not understand what it means to be divorced. let me tell you, Jean and Kitaka, if there is any place that I really hate talking about my story, it is the church. And that's why I go to the social media. Jen, you have seen me. I go to the social media because if someone judges me on the social media, I will understand. But when someone judges me from the pulpit, you feel this is not where you belong. Because for me, I thought the church is a hospital where the sick, and the sick is not only physical, it is psychological, it is emotional, they go and find healing. But here is the church who is judging me. And when I talk about the church, I'm talking about that pastor, yeah? And also the system also. The system also judges, yeah? The system whereby we don't ordain divorced people, yeah? That is the system. Jean and Kitaka, I would be ordained today if I was not divorced. I've done theology. I have a master's in development studies. All those with whom we went to school with, they were all ordained. But I was left out. Why? Because I am divorced. So it is very painful, especially to serve in the church as a divorced person. I don't know where, I don't want to mention my church, but it is very painful because these people, they judge you. And it's like a kind of divorce. It's the only sin that people can commit, you know. And I know there are a lot of sins. Well, for me, I understand the Bible. I know God hates divorce. It is there in black and white. But God does not hate divorced people. God hates sin. Yes, divorce is a sin. But God does not hate sinners. He came for the sinners. So where I thought I would get, I would get consolation, where I thought maybe the pastor would be sensitive. Yeah. He was so insensitive. It was like, I felt this guy needs to go back to school. I think he needs to be educated. He was so insensitive. Because everybody looked at me because I had just told my story. So I think the church also needs to be sensitive because if it's your sister, if it's not your sister who is not divorced, maybe it's your cousin. Yeah, maybe it's your cousin. Maybe if I follow this pastor, I would have realized maybe he might even be from a single mother's setup. Maybe his mother is a single mother. By the way, we have so many clergy who are from single mothers' households. But they judge the divorced, but they should go back and ask, do I have a divorced person around me? Yeah. So, as you said, sometimes we condemn those people, not realizing if we don't have them right now, the divorced people in our family, you will never know about tomorrow. Yeah.
I hear you.
So it has been very challenging. How the church, my church, let me talk about my church, handled my issue. Yeah, it was very challenging. It was very challenging and very demoralizing. I'm no longer in the ministry. I'm no longer in the ministry. Yeah.
And I know Kathryn, she's speaking for many out there. And maybe if you've just joined us, a discussion today about the setbacks that we experience on our road to recovery. And as we get to hear from Kathryn Wambui, her story, a lot of setbacks from all angles that she had to experience, after going through divorce, now on her journey to recovery. There was a lot, not even one, not even two, and all from people that she expected they could give her a shoulder, they could console her, they could be there for her, but just getting to hear the kind of rejection that she received, the kind of judgment, So our viewers, if you have any question that you can just put it on the comment, I'll be able to see and address it. And if you have any concern as well, kindly just put it. Thank you so much, Robert Karanja. I can see your comment. Thank you as well, Agnes. I can see you are following on this conversation. If you have an input, kindly feel free to put it there. If you have something that you can say, feel free as well. Yes, so Kathryn Kitaka, maybe from your professional angle, I would want you come in, and this is what many of the people out there are suffering, At the moment, when you're going through this kind of experience, you're already hurting, you're already broken, and even the last place that you think, or rather you expect maybe to find rejection is the place that you worship, the people that you go to church with. And this, as Kathryn talks even of the system itself rejecting you, that you are no longer going to be that person that you wanted to be because of what? Because you are divorced, Maybe you can address this thing, because I know many people out there are suffering. They're suffering church wounds, they've been hurt, they've been subjected to ridicule, to rejection by the church and the society as a whole. And you hear even the statement she talked about, just being told you are not able to keep your husband, and just being insensitive, somebody not knowing what kind of journey you have walked. Maybe you can comment on that.
Wow, that is painful. And once again, we truly empathize with you, Kathryn. And as she was speaking, what came to mind that you're talking about church is our Lord Jesus Christ, and the lady, as the Bible puts it, who was caught in the very act. And what Jesus did, he told them, "You that has not sinned, be the first to throw a stone." This lady, and we know what the Bible says, that they all walked away. None of us, we are all sinners, but by God's grace. So I think just to begin from that point of helping the ministers and the people in the church to look at what Christ did. Yes, the lady had been caught there, but Christ understood that none of us, and the Bible also says that if we say we have not sinned, we are making him a liar. So we sang a song when we were younger. I don't know whether we still sing, hakuna dhambi dogo mbele ya Bwana, dhambi zote ni sawa. Really, we are not here to advocate for sin, but we are saying that may we be gracious as the body of Christ. Christ himself, he empathized even with this lady. And I know what he told her. He didn't, I don't condemn you either. Go and sin no more. And then I think that's the approach that we need to take and embrace as a church. We are not here to condemn. We are not here to group people and put them in cocoons and corners and be the judges of what they can do or what they cannot do. But we need God to help us, to embrace, to love. As she said, the church is a place of healing, emotional, physical, and otherwise. So may God help us that we be like Christ. You know what he did? If you have not sinned, he didn't judge this lady. He told her, just go and sin no more. So may we be sensitive. We can't just speak and single out and say so because of this. And like she said, we don't know the journeys that people have really walked. And it's only that, that could be visible. How many other things have been done? And, they are not visible. We are not here to scale out which is bigger or which is not bigger, but we are saying we are a work of grace. So let's be gracious enough. Let's embrace the people in the various spaces they are in. I know I have had there are churches where there is a marriage couple and there is whatever, but can the church again be sensitive and find out these people in this season, because I call them seasons, they may not be able to fit in this fellowship. How are we ministering to them? Are we sensitive to know that there are these people in this particular space in their season, whether, like Kathryn is saying, divorced and separated, being sensitive to the needs of everybody that have come to our churches, because every of these souls matter to God. So we can't be the ones who are saying these are more and they can do more. Every soul matters to God. And I think that should be the foundation where we anchor ourselves even as we move on. But I'll say then as a professional or as a person who is in that space, I pray that we would still be able to advocate and, can just gather people together. Somebody was telling me in my church, she just got this burden that there are people who are bringing up their children on their own. And they decided, went to the pastor and spoke to them, and then they were able to come up with a ministry to minister to the single parent. So that's sensitive as a body of Christ, because every soul matters to God. So they should also matter to us, irrespective of the status, because that is just one of the ends. What matters, when we read in Revelation, what matters is our name being written in the book of life, not these other books, as much as the books are important. So let's be gracious, let's embrace, let's love, let's be all inclusive as we walk the journey together. Thank you. Back to you, Jenny.
Thank you, Kathryn, for that. And what I hear you say, we need to be gracious to one another. Let's embrace one another and love on them. Let's make their journey less painful. Let's not add salt into the injury, because everyone matters, irrespective of the status or what they are going through. I think this is very important, what you have mentioned, Kathryn. And maybe as we wrap up, because I can see our time is it's much gone. Getting to this other end, because as we said, we'll not really avoid setbacks, So maybe what are some of the things that we can do to overcome setbacks? Maybe Kathryn Kitaka, from a professional view, you can point some of the things that we can do as a people, just to help us overcome the setbacks that we experience as we journey in this life.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jenny. And there are many things that one can do to overcome the setbacks. And what really comes to mind first is about self-awareness, knowing our triggers, because we are all in different seasons and journeys, and different things would trigger us to the setback. It could be the person, it could be the relationships that were there, it could be, even the resources, the finances, like now the person is not there, so I'm not sufficiently provided for. It could be even the children themselves. So just to find out, what are my triggers? What is triggering this setback? And really find out how then one can manage those particular triggers. So they'll come in different fronts. So it's just to find out, be aware that this triggers me to this direction, brings emotional drain, brings psychological, brings relational drain. So identify our triggers. The other one that comes to mind is about boundaries. That even as we are in this space, let's learn to put up our boundaries. For instance, relationship. If there is this, or we've been walking this journey, and now there's this relationship. It could be an in-law, it could be a friend, It could be anything. So just set safe boundaries for ourselves. It would also be the extent that we can go. So how much, or how am I in this? What is this particular setback? And then what are the boundaries? Have I set for myself boundaries? And are they the boundaries that I have maybe, or somebody has maybe trespassed the boundaries? So set clear boundaries. That would be something else that I will say. Another one is taking time off. Sometimes we have set out, a structure system that I want to do this. So I have sent, or I have gone to court and I want this case gone this way, this direction. Let's learn to sit back. Sometimes we are really pushing and fighting and we are not in the right state of mind, maybe to pursue certain things. So let's learn also to take a back seat, take a pause. How did I get here? What brought me here? How can I change? What can I do differently? So learn to sit back, take a pause, unwind, and then just be able to pick it up from there, even as we re-strategize. There are many, I don't know how much time we have, and maybe one more, the last one I put is to know that we are unique. Sometimes a cousin may have walked the journey and it went that way and it went well. A friend may have walked the journey and it went well. Know that we are unique. We are dealing with different and unique situations and circumstances. So when setbacks come, let's not beat ourselves so much. Let's learn to embrace and appreciate that we are different. We are walking different journeys. We are different personalities. We are dealing with different issues. We are not boxing ourselves in this space that this must follow this particular path. We may never have a linear path on how things work. So just being flexible, being open, being, an open mind that things can go this way, things can go that way. So just that open mind and knowing that we are unique, we are individual, and because God created us, what works for Jenny, what works for Kathryn Wamboi may not work for me. So just to be that aware, what is working, what is triggering, what is not working, what can I change? And one that I love to bring over and over again, a support system. Let's not walk alone. When those setbacks come, who can you call and tell them, I thought it was going well, now things are not working? Who is that one person? Who are those two people that you can always go back to? And let's take time also to know who they are. People can come with vested interest. I pray that we are able to know that this is a person that is for me. Get a support system. And when it is so much, it is okay to go back and seek help. Not I would handle this on my own, but I feel I can't. So go back, seek help. It could be a therapist, it could be a friend, it could be a pastor, it could be just anybody out there that we can seek help to. And many, so physical exercise, take a run, cut the sweat. When you work out physically, then you're able to just have your mind be focused and able to handle the setbacks. So there are many, we can go on and on, but I think those will be helpful for us. Thank you.
Thank you for the few that you've shared. And I think I really resonate and agree with it, with being self-aware, having a positive support system. I think that's one thing that I believe in. You cannot walk this journey alone. You need to work with people of like-minded, positive people, and even having a positive attitude and mindset about all what is around you. And then for me, maybe just to add on to that, just getting to a point of acceptance as well, because I know many people, they are still on denial, just getting to appreciate the place that you are in now and just making some positive attributes out of that. Yeah, so thank you for sharing that, Kathryn Kitaka. So as we come to a close, I would want to invite Kathryn for a parting shot, and maybe you bring it out as an advice. There's somebody watching you out there, There's somebody who will watch you later in the YouTube. Maybe a word of advice, because you have been on the ground, you know what has happened, and maybe you can give some 2-3 things that you know you can advise somebody out there who could be going through a similar situation.
Oh, the question is posed to me?
Yes.
Oh, well, one thing I know is that life has no rehearsal. And wherever you find yourself, make use of that time. When I sank into depression this year and I went to the hospital, and I remember the doctor looked at me and told me, Kathryn, if you can't live for others, live for yourself. And I want this also to go to those people who might be hurting. You feel as if you are coming to an end of yourself. If you cannot live for others, if you cannot live for your child, if you cannot live for your mother or your family, live for yourself. Because life comes only once. And life has no rehearsal. We are not coming back to live again in this earth. So we are kind of, every single day we are going. So I just encourage those people who are hurting there that take one day at a time. The fear of unknown sometimes also hits you or hits people, the fear of unknown. Jean and Kitaka, I think the reason why I got into depression, I was wondering. My mother used to compare me with some of my friends who are doing very, very well. Some are driving, some have rental houses. So it's a kind of, I don't know, it's a kind of, I believed what she was telling me, yes. And I saw myself as a failure. And it really hit me so hard. I'm 56, I'm approaching 57. And I felt, yeah, actually, I don't have a land, I don't have a job, I don't have a home. I think, I'm a kind of a failure. And maybe that's why my mother used to compare me. Jane, it's also good to say, parents, don't compare your children. It hurts when you say, why don't you become like so-and-so, your sister or your friend? No, we are different, we are unique. So I think our lives they are in the hands of God. And as the Bible says, there's nothing one can add to his life. It's just a matter of, living one day at a time. So I just encourage people, those who are hurting, as Kitaka said, keep your boundaries. Keep your boundaries. If it means going out of the environment that is tormenting you and torturing you, get out there. Sometimes it's painful. It's painful, Jane and Kitaka, especially when it comes to people talk about domestic violence, but they don't talk about family feuds or family bullying. And family issues are very painful. As you said, Kitaka, and I don't want to go back there. Family is everything. As I have said in the video, is that, family is the fabric of a person's life. So if you are fighting with your family, where else do you go? But we cannot die there in our families. In order to keep the secrets of our families, in order to keep our hearts and angers to ourselves, I really encourage people to go out there and talk about their issues. A friend called me and asked, she told me she saw my story in the Tuko, and I told her, do you know what? By the time I'll be going to the grave, if I don't have a book, my story is out there. So I'll be empty, as Monroe used to say, I'll be empty actually. I will not have personal grudges. I share my story even with my family. If there's someone who feels she wants to put things right with me, the door is open. The other thing is about forgiveness. I've forgiven my ex. I've forgiven my family. Although forgiveness is a process, and of course, when you forgive, you are doing yourself good. You are doing yourself good because someone said when you don't forgive, it's like a kind of watching someone taking poison, yeah, and you think you are the one who's going. I mean, the person is going to. What am I trying to say? Forgiving yourself also is also very important. Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, there is a kind of an interruption. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry for that. Okay. Thank you, Kathryn, for sharing that and the kind of wisdom that you have shared with the people who could be hurting out there. I know there could be one or two people out there. We say even if it will help one person, just that message that we have done our bit. Yeah, Kitaka, I'll invite you for a parting shot, and maybe as you give a parting shot, you can also say how you can be found, because I know you are a professional therapist on marriage and family. In case somebody needs that kind of service, how you can be found as well.
Thank you, Jenny, and thank you, Kathryn, for the words of wisdom. I'll make it brief. Somebody once told me about the word caretaker. Caretaker. When you hear of caretaker, we think about people who are taking care of our estates and our homes. But while in this space, I love to use that word in two ways. When it's a single word, caretaker, it means you're busy taking care of everybody else. You're taking care of the children, you're taking care of the family, you're taking care of the church and anybody. And then especially if one is walking through that journey, it is very difficult. But I put it again, that when you're in that season, put a dash between the word care and taker. Receive care, turn the roles, receive care, get that space of refreshing, get that place of being nourished, get that place of being loved, because you still matter. Like I said, you matter, irrespective of what is going on in your life. So that word, caretaker, you find most of the time we are taking care, administration of property and everything that goes on while one is in that season. But often pause and take care. Self-love, self-care, self-appreciation, that way will really help us to walk through the journey. So let's not always be giving care, being caretakers, but let's pause and take care. Let's love on ourselves. Even in that space, many words could be said. But imagine, look at yourself in the mirror, the brother, the sister, the lady, the man, and appreciate the person that you see on the mirror. Sit back and receive care once in a while. Thank you.
Pause and take care, receive care. I think that's very key. Thank you so much, Kathryn, for sharing that. Did you mention where you can be found as we
Yes. I can give my number. I can give my number. We have our offices in town. KICC building, but my number is 722 44 2282.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just post it for whoever
And
would
post it there
want
for whoever,
to,
yes,
for that one.
Kathryn.
They can get you, Kathryn Kitaka. Thank you so much, Kathryn, for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, and for me, what I would say as my parting shot, I believe that a setback is a setup for a comeback, you know. Yes, so kindly check out on our Facebook page the services we offer. We have healing programs. We call them Healing Wounded Hearts. We have a relationship series called Reality Check. Then we have roundtable clinics that we meet for monthly breakfast just to review and to check on ourselves. And also we have support group. So you can check out on our pages that's the kind of services that you can get. So thank you so much, Kathryn Kitaka, for coming and for sharing your wise counsel. Thank you, Kathryn Wamboi, just for coming and allowing us into your life, sharing your story and your experience. We really appreciate, and I know somebody somewhere will be touched by this and their lives will be better. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
My parting shot again, a setback is a setup for a comeback. Until we meet again next month, I've been your host, Jenny Washira. Have a blessed night. Shalom.
Shalom.
Yeah.
Shalom.
Shalom. Thank you.